Happy Friday. My co-host has ghosted me. What are you gonna do? What a day, what a day. I am tired of the cold. What about you? Tired of freezing? I love the snow. I do love the snow. But I'm tired of being cold, man. It's gotta end at some point. My favorite soundbite. We're live in the studio. It's February 19th, 2021 at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in frigid Magnolia, Ohio. We had some breaking news as I was about to go on the air. Apparently, let's pull it up here. Oh, very professional. This facial recognition to unlock your phone is annoying. So one of our guys, Jack Gotzel, texted me, Rafael Alves missed his weight by an entire weight class, like 11 and a half pounds. So sounds like Dana White's not too happy about it, and they scrapped the fight. So that doesn't bode well. So that was something breaking there. I thought there was another piece of breaking news. Oh, that's right. My co-host didn't show up.
You blew it!
Texted me he got out of work late and had to pull over because he got in the phone range to check voicemails and text messages. We're already getting a call. That's early. 12-ounce Sports, you're live in the studio. Who we got?
This is Captain Lou. How are you, Mr. Beck?
Oh, what a pleasant surprise. Captain Lou, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. I love your show, man. I finally get a chance to call in real quick.
Yeah, how did you get a chance? You hiding somewhere at work, or you get off early today?
I got off early today. You know, it's the downtime of year for us pop people. So, I got to sneak out and get a little rest. I saw a couple of your topics and thought I'd call in to give my 2 cents worth.
Well, I always like to hear your 2 cents. So which topic are you looking at?
Well, the first one I saw, and we kind of commented back and forth earlier this week, was about LeBron James and how he could be a all-pro stalwart football player.
I mean, the ego on this guy, right?
Oh, my God. And take nothing away from his basketball skills. He's definitely a generational star, but it's like I told you, one hit, he'd flop, and he'd be looking for the referees. I don't know, man. Maybe he'd be decent, but there's no way he would be all-pro in football. There's no way.
It's just it takes an ego to be that great in one sport, so I guess it kind of translates into you think you can play any sport. Now, I will say he played high school football and was all-Ohio. He only played 1 year as a wide receiver, but to say he could easily make an NFL team, it's a slap in the face to a bunch of practice players, isn't it?
Well, ask Tony Gonzalez how tough it was to be a two-sport athlete. He's the closest, I think, that we've seen that could possibly play pro basketball and football at the same time. And, I'm sorry, but he's no LeBron, and LeBron's no Tony Gonzalez on the gridiron, that's for sure.
No, I agree with you. And yeah, now a lot of people would argue, the LeBron apologists, that he flops because he can get away with it. It's like soccer players. They know they didn't get shot in the ankle, but they're going to act like it so they get the yellow card. Do you really think he would be fragile if he played in the NFL?
Well, I don't know if he'd be fragile. I just, you're probably right. He may do that as an act. I mean, the NBA players, my favorite one doing the flop was Bill Laimbeer back in the day.
Yeah,
he was great at that. But I don't know, man. I love that when they do that comparison. And I don't know. My other topic I wanted to just touch base on with you real quick was Draymond Green and his rant. I see where he may not be playing tonight. And I'm sorry, I have a hard time feeling sorry for these guys. In your neck of the woods there, Andre Drummond is not playing, and they're sitting him. And for those that think that this came as a shocker that he would be sitting is ludicrous. I mean, these guys are getting paid. What is he getting? $28 million this year. And same with Blake Griffin. They signed the contracts. You know, I would love to be able to go to my boss after I signed a contract a couple of months ago and say, hey, you know what? You can't do this. You got to pay. You got to give me more money, or you got to do it my way.
Yeah, I don't feel like working today, but you still got to pay me.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that, and I watched what Draymond says. I'm not a huge fan of his to begin with. I never have been. He's a above average NBA player. His defensive skills are awesome. They've diminished some now, but I get tired of that dog and pony show, Jeff. And you know, that's what sours me, especially on the NBA, with, you know, leading that into load management and, you know, taking time off. I thought time off was your day off, like you and I and everybody else that has normal jobs. And,
yeah,
you know, they're making a lot of money. And when the fans are back in the stands, you know, I'm not going to go because I'm not going to risk seeing one of my favorite players not show up.
No, I won't go to another NBA game. It's a lot of entitlement, and for what they're making, I mean, just to hear them say load management, I need to take an extra night off is like crazy. Like, what are you talking about? You're getting paid $28 million to play 82 games, not 60. It's like, but you know what? They get away with it because the owners in the league let them, and now the league's trying to fight back a little bit, and you got people like Draymond speaking up, complaining. It's like they want everything, and they want to give nothing in return, and it's a terrible I think it's a terrible product. Hopefully we're not scaring off viewers, but you know, if you watch the NBA and then you watch college and you think it's the same sport, I don't know what you're watching.
I agree with you. You know, I used to be the biggest NBA fan, and and you know, again, I hope if you're a player, go for every penny. I get that. You know, if management is silly enough and able enough to pay you $50 million a year, $25 million a year as a player, yes, you got to go for it because you're in your prime earning potential. But it's just like with Deshaun Watson. I listened to this, and the people that defend the way he's acting and demanding a trade, I mean, where does it stop? These guys sign a contract, and especially him with Hopkins had already left, and they signed this contract. And you know, not everybody's going to win the Super Bowl. Not everybody's going to win the NBA championship. And you know, it bothers me that, you know, they can get away. You know, they're eventually he's going to get his wish, and it just proves the validity of contracts is something that they're going to look like head coaching contracts. Where you can break them at a moment's notice, and that kind of bothers me, the direction that sport's going, and hopefully football's not following it.
Well, yeah, and I mean, eventually, at some point, maybe just go to 1-year contracts. I mean, why sign a 6-year contract if the team can cut you or trade you anytime they want, or you can sit out and demand a trade anytime you want? Like, so what's the point of 6 to 7 to 8-year contracts? They don't mean anything.
Not like they used to, that's for sure. And, you know, you'd think, you know, they would learn from baseball. Look at how many of those guaranteed contracts are out there. The last one I can think of, well, I mean, one we've got in Detroit with Miggy. I mean, he's playing on one leg, but he brought them some good years back. Remember Juan Gonzalez when Detroit signed him for like 8 years and $135 million. It's like, holy crap, man. That blew up in our face, and Prince Fielder and all that. But you know, Jeff, I'll let you go. I just wanted to touch base and say hi. I love your show, man. I'll keep watching.
Thanks, Lou. Well, you're always the professional. You're always on point. I know you're into a lot of things here. If you want to tell everybody what you're doing, because you shook up your show a little bit temporarily, right?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get a play-by-play gig for high school up here in Michigan, in the Grand Rapids area for Ottawa Hills. And the situation in Michigan is they're letting high school sports, contact sports go, but with limited attendance, like with, I think, 50 or 100 total in the stands. And it's tough. And so, you know, some parents are about all that can go. And so, you know, I got approached to do some games in February and March, high school. And so, you know, as Vito Corleone said, it was an offer I couldn't refuse. and so I took it, and it's just a lot of fun. And also squeezing in tonight, I've got an ACHA hockey game with Aquinas. They're out of Grand Rapids, and they were supposed to play Lawrence Tech, which is a D1 ACHA squad. They canceled out because of COVID apparently about 2 hours ago, and Aquinas was able to pick up Hope College's D3 team on a moment's notice. And, you know, the world of college sports right now and high school here, especially around here, you know, Jeff, is this, you got to be as flexible as all get out. And so I'm doing that. And then of course, loving my gig on Wednesday nights. You know, right now I'm going to be on Wednesday nights from 8 to 9:30 on 12 ounce doing my extravaganza. We had a great show. We had a great show Wednesday night, the wrestling show with my son and also with Philly Pete. And I got to toot our horn because our first topic, for those of you that are wrestling fans, was talking about, you know, 61-year-old Sting, if he would take a bump or not, because he's had neck issues and shoulder issues. And, you know, we didn't think he would. And sure as God makes little green apples, right after the show, he came out there and took a huge bump. And so we look like geniuses, but it's a lot of fun. And, you know, and then my regular show every other Wednesday until May, which then I'll be back on Tuesdays, looking to get some great guests lined up, talking some more ACHA hockey. And, you know, because their nationals as of right now are on with Division I and Division II for the men and Division I for the women. Unfortunately, they're not doing regionals this year. They because quite frankly, I don't think there's enough teams playing. They're doing a ranking system for the top 16 teams in the country for D2, I believe, for the men. And those guys are going to go to North Dakota. And along with the women's D1, the men's D1 are going for their nationals outside of St. Louis. And again, that's the plan.
So no regionals, just a 16-team centralized tournament. Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately, they just, like I said, the men's Division III is, as of right now, has been canceled. Now, I know some teams are starting up, so they may still do a nationals, but I doubt it because it's kind of late.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, and the problem was I've talked to a handful of coaches, Jeff, and the universities, a lot of them won't let the club sports operate this year because they have to be tested. They've got, you know, and, you know, it's expensive. And if your school's not helping support it financially, that's a lot to ask these kids because, you know, 90% of these schools, they're funded out of their own pocket. You know, they don't get school funding for the ACHA. And so they're coming up with $3,000 to play. And then you figure, you know, whatever it's going to cost to get tested, and not to get carried away with the ACHA, but, you know, I can remember last year when, you know, or when these teams qualify to go to nationals and these regionals, the euphoria wears off in about 12 hours because then these club teams got to come up with $15,000 in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
To cover travel and, you know, lodging and expenses. They do it, but it's amazing. You know, it's like I've talked to numerous coaches that make it, and they're, you know, excited as all get out, and it's like, boom, we got to get on the horn.
Now we got to fundraise.
Yeah, and you got, like I said, a lot of cases you've got 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get up, pony up the cash, and you know, it's hard, but it shows you the love of the sport, and you know these kids why they do it. And they play for the love of the game. They're not going to the NHL or the AHL. I mean, they'll get a few that sign with like the Federal Prospect League, or, you know, I think maybe one or two have made it to the Southern League. So this is it for a lot of them, except maybe beer league hockey. So
hey, there's nothing wrong with beer league hockey.
Well, of course not. Of course not. I agree. Heck yeah, man. You know, but yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. And, you know, I know you and I talked about, I think we still may have a show in the works coming up, a selection Sunday show for the NCAAs. You know, we'll get some of the crew together and,
looking forward to that.
A live show. Just got to, we just got to maybe come together on a time and either do it right after the selection show, which I think would be cool, or maybe the next day. But, you know, that's going to be different too this year. That tournament, they're going Friday to Monday this year instead of Thursday to Sunday. And I think the following weekend they're going like Saturday to Tuesday. And why, I don't know, but that's what they're doing. And it's going to be very interesting.
Well, hey, Lou, I love it when you call in, although it's the first time, but, you know, we talk on the phone personally. But call in every week if you get time. I know if it's a slow time of year, we love to hear from you. We love your show. Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern until, May, you said, right?
Yeah, first week of May, I'll be back on Tuesday nights. Yep. Excellent.
Well, Lou, you have a great weekend. Thanks again for calling in. Take care.
You bet, Jeff. You too. Thank you.
Yep, have a good game tonight. Lou. Captain Lou, he's usually Tuesdays, but he switched to Wednesdays until May. He's a busy guy in the industry, doing play-by-play for a lot of high school, college, football, hockey, basketball. So, but we're lucky to have him on 12 Ounce Sports. I did the ACHA regional last year with Lou. We broadcasted some games live on 12 Ounce Sports. We got to do a school as big as Wisconsin. Of course, we're not going to get to do that this year, unfortunately. You can't win them all, but I love it when Lou calls in. Hip, hip, hooray for Lou. I got a text. Glenn wants to call in, so I'm going to tell him the line's open, and I texted his own name. So we'll see if Glenn will call in. Or I should have said open. Jeez, I can't text today. Anyway, you're watching a Work Weekend Review live with the janitor. I can't even talk. I'm trying to text. I'm trying to summarize in my head what Lou talked about. That was a lot of information there. And trying to get Glenn on the line. So old Gleno is going to call in. How you doing, Glenn? Live in the studio. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
You don't seem very spirited today. What's the matter, Glenn?
No, it's that there was nothing on. I didn't like any interested topics today by you. The thing is, the thing is, here's the thing. Lou came on the line and he was talking about the whole NBA thing with college basketball and the pros. And I'm like, college basketball is college basketball. The NBA, people do it for gambling.
Right, yeah.
That's what I think.
Well, a lot of sports are watched because of gambling, right?
Of course.
I mean, I wouldn't have been watching Chattanooga against Western Carolina the other night if I didn't have money on the line.
I see all of those picks of yours. I'm like, what are you doing?
Hey, it's working. For the most part, it's working. I got burnt last night, but I'm back in it tonight. Now, I look at my board here. Are you watching the screen?
Yeah, what about it?
I have like 20 topics, and you can't find one you like.
Well, I mean, it's not that I don't like the topics.
Hey,
I just
I tell you.
I was taught this a while ago. You got to, and I'm not going to say anything because I shouldn't be saying this because you know the old phrase. If you don't do it, then you shouldn't criticize other people first. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut about it. I know what I want to say, but I'm not going to say it live. I'm not going to do that to your boss, man.
What are you saying? Don't put your topics up on the screen?
No. I'm not talking about that at all. No, that's fantastic. That's much better than what I could ever do. Let me first of all put it like that. That's not what I'm talking about, Beth.
Okay.
No, I'm thinking of more lines of critique, like, what was I going to say? They teach you, like, you got to, when you write something, it's like, got to bring the attention grabber. That's why, you know what's funny? On the show that the Eagles intentionally blew against the Washington football team and let the Giants out of the playoffs, it had my best viewership ever because I had the Eagles hat in the trash can, and that's what grabbed my viewers to grab her attention to start the show. That's what I was referring to.
My attention grabber is me. I'm in the studio.
That was the most funniest thing you've ever done. Now, let me tell you something. That was extremely funny. I cannot deny it.
Thanks, Glenn. So you want to break the news to the audience that what might be happening here soon?
No, I will wait till Monday to break it. I'm
Okay.
not breaking it right now.
Fair enough. Well, we love to hear from you, Glenn. Thanks for calling in, even though all my topics suck, I think you told me, and my delivery is terrible.
No, they're good. No, Beck, they're good. Trust me. Beck, you know I would never do such a thing to you. And last thing you watch, I like NBA because of FanDuel and DraftKings and college basketball is great to fill out brackets. And when the time comes for my special show of just bracketology, everyone stay tuned for that because that'll be fun.
I can't wait for it. Well, Glenn, you have a great weekend. Thanks again for calling in, buddy.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Take care. There you go. That's Glenn Kaplan of Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. He's going to be back on the air Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we filled up a whole segment with just callers, and that might be a first, actually. I can't remember the last time we had nothing but callers here in the first segment, so that's it. Work Week in Review live from the studio with the janitor. We're going to be back after this commercial break, and then we'll finally get into some topics. So I have all those topics on the right side of the screen, and I haven't got to one yet. So this is going to be an interesting show, and I don't have my co-host. He didn't show up. Got out of work late, so I'm doing this solo. We'll be right back.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Change your game with the all-new Pro Rock Hockey Stick, a Canadian company providing a top-of-the-line twig at an affordable price. Pro Rock sticks are extremely lightweight, balanced, and provide the perfect kick point. Get your fully customized stick today at ProRock.com. Play like a Pro Rock.
still haven't got to any topics yet. We had 2 callers, really good callers, but I got some work to do here on a Friday. Okay. Thank you to Captain Lou and Glenn Kaplan for calling into the show. You're watching Work Week in Review live from the studio with the janitor, 12-ounce sports studio here in Magnolia, Ohio. I'm missing my co-host today, so we'll charge through some of these topics here. So the first one's my new betting strategy. So I brought this up to the 12-ounce sports crew. As I chase all these upsets, I thought to myself, what happens if you take heavy favorites, like heavy favorites, like minus 1,400 favorites, and you parlay them? And I even put an article out on 12ozsportsnetwork.com if you want to check it out. The title is Parlay Betting. Well, the picture says Parlay Betting. But so 3 nights in a row I won, and won handedly. Last night I got burnt. I put money on Murray State. I had a 6-teamer, and if the 6-teamer had won, I would have profited like $350. But I got 5 of the 6 games right. The game I missed was Murray State. For some reason, they were minus 1,400 against the team they had already lost to this season. And then they lost again last night, and I didn't win. I should have did this one here.
You blew it!
But I'm back in it tonight. I'll tell you what I got here and what I'm betting, because I feel good about this one tonight, because I did do some research. Now, I told the crew I did research for tonight's bets. Last night, I saw Murray State minus 1,400. I said, oh, I got to take it, not knowing. I don't know why they were minus 1,400. They had lost to the team already this year. But I took Maryland, Kansas City over Denver, minus 575. Cal Irvine over Fullerton, minus 585. Cal Riverside versus UC San Diego, minus 430. Grand Canyon over California Baptist, minus 490. UNLV versus San Jose State, minus 1,200. And Wright State over Northern Kentucky, minus 435. I put a 300 wager to win 515. And I laughed because Greg Cowan from the Sports Stance said, I can't believe that Grand Canyon has a basketball team and you pick them. That's amazing. So, but they actually have a decent basketball team. I've seen them play before. But we'll see how that goes tonight. So I'm hoping the heavy favorites parlay wins more times than not. And you know what that means when you bet. If you're winning more times than not, you should be in the positive. So we'll see how that goes. Now, I'm making all those bets on MyBookie, MyBookie. They are a friend, a sponsor, an advertiser on 12-ounce sports, and we've had a lot of people sign up. I see the numbers, and people are loving that app. They're loving the site. You can use it on your computer or your phone. But you have to use the promo code 12OZSports, all caps, to get a deposit bonus. They're going to match your first deposit up to $1,000. And you'll have some house money to play with there, man. And then they also are doing a promo. We'll bring it up on the screen. They are doing their March Madness bracket. It's $10 to get in. And I think I saw they're giving away like $100,000 worth of prizes. So you want to make sure you get in on that. So MyBookie, one of the best sponsors 12-ounce sports has ever had. We love them. And hopefully you check them out. So there you go. So getting into some other topics here, some sad news from the NFL world. Vincent Jackson, if you remember him, he was a good receiver. I think he played for the Buccaneers and a few other teams. They're doing some research here to find out he was found dead in a hotel room, and he had been there, I think, a few days, or kind of, I don't want to use the term missing, but his family said he had a lot of issues with depression and alcoholism. So now they're checking to see he has CTE maybe. And that'll be interesting to see those results, because I know CTE is a huge, huge scare in the sports world. The further we develop and evolve, we're learning that, a lot of these sports are causing some serious problems that you might not notice it when they play. But when they get 40, 50, 60 years old, that's really when it really sets in. And I I probably don't have to explain the history of CTE to a lot of you, and how it's resulted in some terrible outcomes. So keep your eye out for what they find out with Vincent Jackson. It was quite peculiar that he had disappeared for a few days and then found dead in his hotel room. So sad news out of the NFL. Now, I put this headline. I thought my co-host was going to be here. He's a big soccer fan, especially in the Premier League. But Thierry Henry is being pursued by Bournemouth for manager. And if you're a soccer fan, you'll know Thierry Henry is a Frenchman, really good soccer player. It'll be interesting to see if he goes for the job and how he performs. He was a great player. I always love seeing great players become coaches and see if they can translate what they did on the pitch with the X's and O's. So that was another headline that caught my eye this week. We'll get back to some negatives here. So a couple weeks ago we covered the Mets GM getting fired like soon after he got hired, and I'm surprised Glenn didn't find this an interesting topic, because when we talked about the Mets GM, he was all over it. But they fired their hitting coach for sexual harassment. This is weeks after they fired their GM for the same thing, basically, which I don't know what the Mets hitting coach did, but something's going on with the New York Mets there. Something's going on over there. But they just fired their GM. Now they fired their hitting coach for sexual harassment. So they're going to have to clean house over there in New York. Maybe Glenn Kaplan can give them some advice. I can't believe he didn't find that an interesting topic. I'm going to have to get on him about that. And then Captain Lou brought this up, another headline. Now I'm racing through headlines, but I am halfway through the show, over halfway through the show, and I'm not halfway through my list. But Captain Lou brought this one up. LeBron is saying in 2011 he was seriously contemplating trying out for an NFL team. Now, I did point out to Captain Lou that LeBron did play 1 year of high school football that I know of, his junior year at Akron St. Vincent St. Mary. See if my brain is still a steel trap. He had something like 1,200 yards receiving and was all Ohio. And then, of course, didn't play his senior year because he knew he was going straight to the NBA. But he's making some bold claims here. Now, that was 10 years ago, so he was still young. Not that he's not still capable of, performing sports at a high level, but the NFL is a different animal. So 10 years ago, I don't know. It would have been interesting, but of course I mentioned Lou. I mean, LeBron has an ego. I mean, if you're not going to make that much money and be on that stage and not have at least a little bit of one, but he seems convinced that he could have made an NFL roster. Anyway, moving along. The NHL, and we have, it'll be scrolling at the bottom there, some of the matchups tonight. But if you noticed, over the course of the last few weeks, they've had a lot of postponements because of COVID. So they come out, within the last week. Yeah, it has to be. It's Work Week in Review. Hey, I tell you, it's a rough one. Now I'm moving too fast, but they did say this week they're confident that they can finish the season and get the full, 52 or 56 games in. So I'd love to see how that works out. Hopefully they do, and we need more hockey, not less hockey. But that's still there at the forefront, that COVID. And I mentioned last week, I got a buddy he said it's getting harder and harder to watch with no crowd. They bring an energy. And I said, man, I'm going to have to agree with you. At first, early in the seasons, I was like, it's still sports. I'm glad we get to watch. But I am missing the energy of the crowd. I'll tell you, it's tough. It's getting tougher. What's not getting tougher is the ability to text the studio. If you want to chime in, 330-866-0525. And, of course, as you have noticed, you can also call. We've had 2 callers. And I don't call screen. I am the main guy here. I'm the only guy here because my co-host didn't show up. So there's nobody screening calls if you want to prank me. Don't prank me, though. That's mean. It's mean-spirited, mean. Anyway, you're watching Work Week in Review live from the studio with the janitor. We're missing in-studio driver, but we'll carry on. Now, as a Browns fan... Well, first of all, I had a friend text the friends group when J.J. Watt had become a free agent, And it was a tweet from somebody that said, per sources, J.J. Watt has bought a house in Cleveland, and well, one of the suburbs. And he sent it to the friends group, and then, he and I were talking about how great it would be if the Browns signed him. So I found the tweet, and then I saw in the replies, it's an old tradition. It's no matter when, no matter who it is, a huge free agent, somebody will tweet out that person has bought a house in the Cleveland area. So it was false. And then we were like, we fell for it. Dang it. He'll never come to Cleveland. Because, the Packers was the logical choice. That's, his home state. And, of course, he did go to the Packers. But he did come out this week and say he seriously considered the Browns. I think they're, I don't want to say new kid on the block, but I think they're the flavor of the month right now. I think they opened a lot of eyes this last season, and J.J. Watt contends he was considering them. That would have been interesting. That would have been fun to watch. I think the Browns are hurting in the secondary more than they are the defensive line, but you don't turn down J.J. Watt. I know he's 32, but that would have been a nice pickup. I tell you, that would have been a nice pickup. Anyway, another thing Lou brought up when he called in was the Draymond Green, you can call it rant. His complaint is if a player wants to sit because they're not happy with where they're at, the league can fine them. But if a team is looking to shop a player, they can sit him, not even let him dress, with no recourse. So that's what happened to Andre Drummond. And Draymond didn't like that. He doesn't like the double standard. So he spoke up, and then I guess Captain Lou said Draymond's not playing tonight. So as usual, there's some tension in the NBA. Good, tough room. But there always seems to be some kind of tension, or I don't want to use the term drama, but something's always going on in that league. But hey, what are you gonna do? And then before the next break here, this is a short segment, but I'm sure you've all seen, what's going on in Texas with the power outages, the ice, the cold. In Dallas, of the NHL has had to postpone a game because of the power outages. So thoughts and prayers to people in Texas. Tough situation. A lot going on in the world. It's nice that we can tune in to goofy sports shows like this. You can even call or text us and at least get our minds off of it for a little bit, an hour or so. Well, less than an hour, because I bring them up during the show. So you're not really getting your mind off of them the whole show. Most of the show, though. And I'm looking through here, mostly positive, upbeat stories to go. Not too much negativity coming down the pike, but we are 20 minutes till ending. I got to take a break. I think I just got a text from the Ohio Gladiators football, so that might be something we're adding to the broadcast list here at 12 Out Sports, but we'll let you know on the other side of the break. You're, again, watching Work Week in Review live with the janitor here in the 12 Out Sports studio, Friday, February 19th, 2021. Feel free to call in here after the break. 2 great calls in the first segment. We can always end the show with a strong call if you're feeling it. If you're not, I'll be back to rant a little bit more for about 18 more minutes. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be right back.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Change your game with the all-new Pro Rock Hockey Stick, a Canadian company providing a top-of-the-line twig at an affordable price. Pro Rock sticks are extremely lightweight, balanced, and provide the perfect kick point. Get your fully customized stick today at ProRock.com. Play like a Pro Rock.
Oh yeah, you know what that means. Last segment, we got a toast. I'm just glad I didn't hit the ceiling this time with the bag. Good. How are you? It's the last segment. Work Week in Review live with the janitor. And we got to do our last segment toast. It's a weekly tradition. So get them out, get them angry. Here we go. Down the hatch. It's good. It's good, Jerry. All right, the weekend has officially started now that we've had our little bubbly there. Oh, I'm very excited. I got a text from the local amateur football team, so we might have two amateur football teams we're covering. Michael Carvelis is working on the Effingham Outlaws. Some kind of, I don't know, Effingham? I'm going to have to look that up. Mike will have to tell me if that's right. It's near Savannah. And the Ohio Gladiators here in Stark County, Ohio. So they just texted me, so I have to get back to him after the show. Very exciting stuff. Very exciting. Anyway, let's get through our headlines here before we run out of time. And I do this every week. But you see this, Jalen Johnson, the Duke freshman phenom, I put quotes, opt out of the season. But meanwhile, there's only 2 weeks left in the season. So a lot of people are like, no, dude, you're not opting out. You're quitting. I mean, Duke's having a unusually bad year. And you're going to the NBA, obviously. So you're quitting. That's just the way it is. And then Syracuse's legendary coach, Jim Boeheim, comes out and he rips Johnson. Says he's been the one holding him down. So I don't know. I mean, I know all these elite coaches in college basketball are buddies, so I guess Boeheim felt like he was defending Coach K, but I'm not going to go on a rant about elite college basketball coaches and my thoughts on them. Whatever, who cares? the Lakers' Anthony Davis is going to be out 2 to 3 weeks, which they're already trailing the Jazz. We'd have to bring up the standings, but I think they're already trailing the Jazz in the West, and now they're losing their second best player. So, sure enough, they are trailing them. I got to bring my phone dialer back up just in case somebody calls. I don't think anybody's calling now, but you can text. Feel free. So Anthony Davis is out. And then I saw that Blake Griffin is refusing to play until he's traded. So the NBA is kind of a mess. There's still really good basketball going on, but behind the scenes, off the court, it's a complete crap show. It's just, I don't know. Everybody's kicking and screaming.
You can act like a man. What's the matter with you?
I don't know. They get their way usually, so maybe that's why they keep doing it. Now, on a really exciting note, I thought Gus Malzahn was fired from Auburn. I don't know if that was a good decision by Auburn, but he's landed on his feet, and I saw one of the a wife of the former scout team sports guy from 12 Ounce Sports was very excited. They're big UCF fans. They hired Gus Malzahn, the recently fired coach from Auburn. So Central Florida, they amaze me. They're attracting talent. They're attracting coaches now. It's kind of a neat situation. We had the Utahs and the Boise States, but when their coaches left, they kind of completely dropped off. UCF really isn't going away. They haven't had the season they had when they should have been in the playoff, but they've just attracted a huge name in the coaching ranks, so good for them. And that'll be fun to see how he does there at UCF. He's bringing SEC coaching talent to a conference that, if he can get the talent there, the schemes are going to be right in line. Of course, they got Cincinnati's looking good and getting some good recruits as well, but I think Gus will do well there, and good for him. Now, Daytona Madness is my next subject. So, first of all, last weekend I wrote an article about this. We've adopted Ryan Blaney as the 12 Ounce Sports NASCAR driver. For one, he is number 12 in NASCAR, natural fit. And then he was also born in Ohio, which 12 Ounce Sports was born in Ohio. So it's kismet, I tell you. But he had 2 tough breaks last week in the I'm trying to think of the name of the it was the Busch Clash. That's what it was on Tuesday, and that's where the NASCAR cars run the road course, the same course they do for the 24 Hours of Daytona. And our boy was leading on the final lap into the final turn, and his best friend, they got into each other. My article said that his best friend spun him out. I think it was Chase Elliott. But, I think Elliott had the line. And then they bumped. And those NASCAR cars, they take the smallest of bumps, and they lose control. So last turn, if he makes one more clean turn, he wins the race. So he went into Thursday's Duel 2. They have 2 of them. And I think he took 6th after starting 9th. That was great. And then when we decided to finally adopt him was during the actual Daytona 500, the massive crash on lap 15, where I don't know how he escaped. They were 3 wide, and the cars, 6 cars up ahead of him, where the action started happening, where the wreck started happening. And somehow he went from the middle, it was like 3 wide, and he was in the middle, 6 car lengths back, and somehow he got out of that unscathed. He didn't get hit until he had to go way down low, and he was about to clear the entire melee, and he hit a little bit of mud, and all the infield was soaking wet from all the rain that weekend at Daytona. And so that slowed him down, and then somebody hit him in the back. But he was able to continue. I don't think he finished the race. He ended up with 7 points. But Ryan Blaney is the network driver. I've decided that. So I'm going to do an article each week, kind of call it the Blaney Report, Monday or Tuesday. And they're back at Daytona this weekend, so for a different race. I don't know if they do a different setup or what, but they are back at Daytona, so hopefully Mr. Blaney represents the network well. Maybe he'll notice that we've adopted him and appreciate it. Who knows? But we're still going to watch him and root for him. So big NASCAR racing this weekend. I'll make sure I'm not getting a text about the show. Nope. Just about stocks. Hey-oh. So the big trade this week, I'm sure Carvelis has a lot to say about it on Sunday at noon. Mike said it first, but Carson Wentz headed to the Colts in exchange for some picks that the Eagles are going to get, which and then another news story broke that apparently Wentz and Doug Peterson, the coach there, haven't spoken in weeks. So, good, tell you. Iffy situation in Philadelphia. Wentz doesn't have to worry about it anymore. He heads to Indianapolis, where Phillip Rivers was the quarterback last year, but of course he's retired. So Carson Wentz with a fresh start, and I think he'll be in good hands there. I think their style is going to be good for him. Not that Philadelphia's wasn't, but fresh starts are always good sometimes. So we're wishing the best for Carson Wentz, see how it works out there in Indianapolis. Back to LeBron. He's only the third player ever to score 35,000 points. Wow. That's amazing. That's a ton of points, and only 3 players have done it before, so you are watching greatness, whether you like him or not. And he does flop, I know. Lou and I were talking about it. I don't like it either. I'm a big soccer fan, and I hate flopping. And I love that soccer's cracking down on it a little bit. And I think LeBron got in trouble for that big flop the other night. The NBA's trying to crack down on it too. But, wow, 35,000 points. You can't ignore that. That's unbelievable. And LeBron, third player ever. We'll toast to that for LeBron. Here you go. Well done. So I can't hate him too much. He got Cleveland a championship. And that was a great championship, too, down 3-1. Never forget it. Speaking of soccer, the She Believes Cup, USA beats Canada 1-0. So the ladies are back on the pitch. And I bring that up because they are outspoken about social issues, and but they are also one of the best teams in the world. And but Canada is a tough foe, and that was a good game if you watched it like I did. 1-0 nail biter there in the She Believes Cup. So try to catch some of the action as the international teams play. I'm trying to think here. Trying to think, but nothing comes out. My co-host is usually here, and he likes soccer, so I threw that in for him, and I'm talking about it myself. The other headline I wanted to bring up, before I'm going to get the standings here in a minute. We'll get 2 baseball ones here. Major League Baseball players are concerned about competition. I laughed out loud when I read that headline. I mean, of course. I mean, if you're going to have income, if you're going to have salary disparaging salaries, speak right, proper grammar. It's getting late in the day. If you're going to have teams with $180 million payrolls versus teams with $20 million payrolls, of course you're going to have problems with competition. Now, we do point out on this network all the time, but that Major League Baseball and NHL hockey have the most different combinations of champions of the last 20 or 30 years. But it is crazy. Major League Baseball is goofy. I mean, the Dodgers will spend 200 and some million. What was it last year in the World Series was crazy. They had like $200 million more on their payroll than the Tampa Bay Rays. So now players are starting to speak out against that. They're a little bit worried about the lack of competition from some teams. Speaking of the lack of competition, Tim Tebow, and I put it in quotations, retires from baseball. Now, he's accomplished a lot. It is pretty cool that he transferred. He went from college football great to NFL. He did win a playoff game against the Steelers to minor league baseball. But I kind of put it in quotations because did he really? I mean, he was on a team, but I saw a lot of headlines from major outlets. They call it a charade. I mean, they figured it was a way to sell tickets to minor league baseball games. I don't know what you think, but he's finally hung it up. I mean, I think the writing was on the wall. What was his batting average? Like 140? Like all time? So that was never going to happen for him. But, hey, he's still a great guy, and he got to do something I've never got to do, and I wish I could have, was play minor league ball. So good for him. But he's thrown in the towel. So we're about to go off the air. We're going to go through some standings here. So I'm going to go off camera with 4 minutes to go. We're going to look at the NHL. So you see in the north there, Toronto, Montreal, Edmonton, Winnipeg. Top 4 in the north. That's a.k.a. the Canadian League there. In the central, you got Florida, Chicago, Tampa Bay, Carolina. Just outside the top 4 is Columbus. Dallas, we just mentioned, had a postponement because of the power outages. Nashville, Detroit. In the East, Boston is in first. They're pretty red hot against. They're above Philadelphia, Washington, and the Islanders. My Penguins are in 5th. Jersey, Rangers, and Buffalo. I didn't round out the North. I apologize. After Winnipeg was Calgary, Vancouver, and Ottawa. So then we head to the West. We got St. Louis in first. Vegas, Colorado, Arizona. Followed by Los Angeles, Anaheim, Minnesota, and San Jose. That's the NHL standings. We're down to about 3 minutes. Let's get to the NBA standings. You're watching Work Week in Review live with the janitor. In the West, we got the Jazz, 24-5 over the Lakers, Clippers, Blazers, Suns, and Spurs. Bottom half, Warriors, Nuggets, Grizzlies, and Mavericks. If we go to... Oh, what have I done? There we go. If we go to the Eastern Conference, you got the 76ers, Nets, Bucks, Pacers, Celtics, Raptors, top 6. Rounding that out, the Knicks, Hornets, Bulls, and Hawks. And then the bottom, Heat, Magic, Wizards, Cavs, and Pistons. Did I get to the bottom down here? No. 11 through 15 in the West, Pelicans, Kings, Rockets, Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Suddenly I can't even control a mouse. And we got about a minute and a half here, so let's get to the NCAA men's top 25. Of course, it's scrolling at the bottom of your screen as well, but we'll show them. Gonzaga is actually 21-0. Baylor, Michigan, Ohio State, Illinois is the top 5. That's 3 Big Ten teams in the top 5 if you're keeping track at home. 6 through 10, Houston, Virginia, Alabama, Oklahoma, Villanova. 11 through 15, another Big Ten team, Iowa, Texas, West Virginia, Creighton, Texas Tech. 16 through 20, Florida State, Southern California, Virginia Tech, Tennessee, Missouri. Rounding it out, Wisconsin, Loyola, Chicago. Love those small schools. Kansas, Arkansas, San Diego State. That's going to do it for the Work Week in Review live with the janitor here in the studio. Just under a minute to go. I appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate my callers. Hope you have a great weekend. I've had a blast as usual. Love doing this. Glad to be back. Got a couple weeks under my belt now. Hopefully it's coming together, and hopefully I don't get too tongue-tied for you. You all take care. Have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully you're warm wherever you're at. I'm not. I'm freezing. I'm going to warm up with a little dancing. See you next Friday.